It is a new day, it is a new year, and that means a new sketch pad. I use multimedia because, or rather mixed media. I like to do some watercolor here and there, use some markers, but mainly it's going to be about collage, and this video is about collaging my sketchbook because otherwise it's a little bit of a yawn. We want to spice it up a bit. So let's go ahead and do that. Not sure if I'm going to do the inside covers. We'll see if the spirit moves me. I have here a very interesting book that I've gotten some really great imagery out of. And I just grabbed these arbitrarily, no reason, rhyme or reason as to why I chose these particular magazines to seek out ephemera. I have behind me in my little studio here all of my ephemera magazines and such books that I've collected in my travels. So I just grab them and see what I come up with. It's always fun. I do have a couple of pieces that I know I want to use maybe for a focal point. I think he's going to make a great focal point. I think he's going to make a great focal point. Initially, I was working with this, and then I flipped it around. I was like, "Whoa, that was kind of cool to me." So they're going to make way onto the collage covers, and this too. I think I really like the way it was cropped. So I'm excited. I hope you are too. Let's get started. Bit of an explanation. I did a very careful cut here, almost like a perforation on this piece because I was using this edge to measure where I wanted to cut. And that is because I want to incorporate the front design into my collage. It's kind of one of those horror vacui things where you don't want to cover everything up and maybe incorporate it into the collage. So this eye is gorgeous. This red background makes this image pop out. And I thought that by cropping him in such a way, it looks like he is emerging from here. So I think this is going to be a nice choice. I'd like for the eye to be positioned where not his eyes are supposed to be, but I'm thinking about maybe I'll just do a bit more of a trim here so we don't see his eye, just a bit. And I think he's cut well enough. I could take a little bit off here, but I don't necessarily have to. I had some other imagery hanging around. I had this ruler I got from a Vogue magazine, and I thought about taking it all the way to the top, but then again, I would like to have some of the original cover up here. I did this with my other composition book. I'll show you that image right here. I maintained the integrity of the original design for the little composition book, and I think I would like to do the same thing here as well. I also am doing, it's a battle of focal points. It could turn into a battle of focal points. I cut this gentleman in half, and I think I'm going to save him for the back of the of our composition book, our sketchbook. And I have these hands, and I wanted to use them. I thought they might be interesting. They could be interesting, possibly. I do like the way they are, again, how they're cropped here, and I liked where this ended up too. I was playing with text also in this collage. I found in that vintage magazine. This looks a little funny, so maybe I'll use it, maybe I won't. I'm not a huge fan of text, but text is always interesting in collage. This was from, I don't know what kind of magazine it was, but I used it also in my Thomas Girl collage I did just the other day. Here's an image of it for you to look at also. And the quality of this paper is phenomenal. So it would actually bode well to be, on the cover of my sketchbook. It will take a lot of wear and tear, in other words. So I'm thinking about doing something like this. I don't really want this thinner piece of ephemera to overlap on the thicker piece because that could prove to be a problem over time. So if anything, I would tuck the thicker piece, or rather put the thicker piece over the weaker paper. So I like how this is coming out. I'm moving very slowly here. It feels like I'm treating it almost tenderly and too precious, and I can run into trouble when I do that. I have this also, but I don't think it's going to necessarily work for this. I also like this perspective image. I think it might go well here. Only as something peripheral and background. I would like to have something maybe like this. I do like the way it looks. It's kind of soothing because, again, this is going to be a collage that I'll be looking at most days as I'm working, and also using it as a source of inspiration. I like how when I'm doing work, I look at it throughout my time during the day, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I like how this is coming out, or I'm thinking, oh, maybe I'd like for this to be a certain way. So this is actually, this alone could work as its own collage. This could be, I could call it done at this point. Maybe that'll work. I like the way that looks. Quite honestly, what I probably will do is take a quick picture of it so then I have it and I can refer back to it. I like to do that with my collages as we are in progress. That's because I can simply make reference to it. So why not? Let's just take a quick picture of it and head on to the back side. As you can see, I used some, well, it was a spray adhesive. You couldn't see that because I did that off camera, but I used spray adhesive on the back of the cover because I wanted to get this map on here. I covered my book with this plastic just to protect it from that spray adhesive. Glad I did now because it is sticky on here. And then I, of course, got some on my fingers because that's me and my heavy-handedness with adhesives. So I want to kind of do a book cover for this. I'm not very good at this kind of thing, but I'm just going to make the attempt. I'd like to wrap it. I think it'll be a lot cleaner if I do that on this side without doing any crazy cutting, and just fold it over. So I'm just basically cutting the corners, literally, to get this on here and just give it a nice tight look. That's what I'm going for. Whether or not that's achieved, it remains to be seen until we actually get something done here. And I want to go ahead and fold this over. I am by no means a bookmaker. I love watching bookmaking videos. I probably should watch one before I do something like this, embarking on this kind of project. But I've done it before. It's been years. So you guys are in for a very special treat. This is something new on the channel. We're not going to be a bookmaking channel, but this is how I'm doing it. So I think I can probably cut here the excess. I think I'm just going with it. That's basically what I'm doing, just kind of going with the flow here and seeing what we come up with. Like I said, there are some really great bookmaking videos out there. Highly recommend that you follow their instructions rather than mine. This is just, again, not something that I am accustomed to, but love nonetheless. It's kind of like, well, I love music, but I don't play a musical instrument, and you sure don't want me to sing. So again, just trying to make it look as tight and clean as possible because it's something that's going to be traveling with me, going places, and something I want to be able to pull out of my purse quickly and start creating. And this is just part of that creative process. And then afterwards, like, I want to keep it and be able to reference it and say, oh yeah, that's what I did in 2025. I have everything in this book. This particular sketchbook has about 100 pages. So I don't draw every single day. I don't sketch every single day. But I want to maybe have that option. So I use both sides of the paper, or I plan to anyway. So I figure I got a pretty much a solid 200 days, maybe, with this. We shall see. We shall see. So I'm actually considering just doing my trusty, no, very trusty double stick tape. I may not be able to use this particular piece. I'll use it for something else. It's still usable. I'm just going to actually put it onto the book here. Again, a bookmaking person would probably use a specialized glue. The little bit I did with bookmaking, which I thought was just absolutely fascinating, there are particular glues that people use. I do not have those on hand because, again, I don't do bookmaking. If you guys have experience with bookmaking, come over and help me. But it is fun, and I think it's very satisfying to complete and to watch. So I'm just going to go ahead and finish this up and see how it turns out. We are done. A few things I want to point out. So I use this shipping tape. It's a Scotch shipping package tape, Sure Start. They're not sponsoring the video or anything, but I really like using it for these kind of projects. Basically, I just did a poor person's lamination. I'll show you this. I'm a little embarrassed. It's a little dirty. I wasn't very careful, so some debris from past projects made its way under the tape, and in other cases too. Very hard to see here, but that's a cat hair. So I'm not thrilled with that, but you know what? This is going to get battered and bruised, and that's just the way it is. That's what it was made for. This is just to help it last a little longer and offer a little bit more inspiration when I'm going out and about and drawing and taking notes. I also found when I was working on this that I had a big gap here between this blue imagery and the map. So I just grabbed some double stick tape, and that's where I love double stick tape, was able to get in there and close up that little bit of a gap. As you can see, my poor gentleman who got cut in half for the sake of this project did not make it on to the project. Just keeping things kind of simple. I think I like my composition book I did that I showed you earlier. I think I like it better than this, but I like the way it looks. I like how this blue corresponds with these other blue images. The tape also does this bubbling thing. I don't know if you can see that. And I'm just trying to rub it out with my trusty bone folder. I think that's what this is called. And if you are into bookmaking, then this is something that'll be very familiar to you. I don't know if it's really made out of bone. If it is, shame on me because I'm vegetarian. I'm sure you can buy plastic versions of it too. I wrapped it around the edges, as you saw. I think I probably need to put some here also. But I wrapped it around the edges. That's also to give it some more tensile strength so it won't get all messed up. I think I need to add some here because I can just feel paper. There was also some bubbling going on here with the map, so I grabbed an image that didn't make it onto anything and put it there. Yeah, I think I'm going to put an extra piece of tape along here, just to make sure everything is good. And everything actually is good. I really like the cover. I'm very happy with this flow. I like the text. I feel inspired by looking at it already. So that's good, and I like this. Can't wait. And as for the inside covers, they're a little boring, but you know what? That's part of this process also. I can doodle. I'll have more areas to doodle as I go about my days in 2025. I hope your days in 2025 are full of creativity and fun and safety and all sorts of goodness. So I thank you for joining me on this collage journey. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I will see you in the next video.